Hey, what's up, you guys? My name's Shay.
My name is Esther.
My name is Seta, and welcome to the first edition of the Dear Abby podcast,
where we give you advice.
If any of you are interested in making a podcast or joining this class, swing by room 2342 and talk to any of us or Mr. Wyman.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about disconnected friendships,
advice for first dates,
and how to leave an ex in the past.
So we actually started off by posting a tell on me on our Instagrams, and we asked people for advice on anything and everything. So we had one user ask, do you have any advice for first dates? Thoughts?
Okay, so I think most of us here have experienced a first date. I mean, obviously all of us in this room have. Yeah. I think we all have an awkward first date story. I think we should start off there and then we could talk about the rest.
So one time my very first date, I think I was in fourth grade.
Fourth grade?
Yeah. They had asked me if I wanted to go to the movies. And in my head, I was like, yeah, I would love to go to the movies with you. Turns out both of our parents went, both sets of our parents. So my mom, my dad, his mom. And it was in the movies. And my mom, my brother, my dad, they all sat together with me and this guy. And then his parents sat 2 rows in front of us. And he dropped his popcorn and scooped it under the seat.
At least his parents sat 2 rows in front of you and not next to your parents. The whole movie they were just
privacy.
Hey guys, how's your first date?
Yeah, no, it was probably so awkward. I think we were watching we were watching that one fairy movie.
Tinkerbell?
No, it was I don't even know what it was called, but I remember there specifically being fairies.
Dude, what? You were in 4th grade, this dude drops the popcorn under the seat and just shuffles it under there?
Yeah, and now that I work at a movie theater, I'm wow, bro, I would have hated that kid.
Okay, but your mom was sitting next to him, looking at him probably the whole time, he just dropped the popcorn that I paid for. What's happening?
No, literally, I don't know. It was really awkward, and never want to go back to that time in my life.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, what about you, Esther? Do you have any first date stories?
I would say my most awkward date I've been on. It was only awkward because he was so nervous and shy, which is cute and stuff. But
hold your hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
grab it.
Yeah, I stepped next to him and he stepped back.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. But I would say my biggest piece of advice to anyone for first dates would be just have confidence and just be
and don't drop the
it.
popcorn.
Don't drop your popcorn at movie theaters.
All right, let it go, guys.
I think oh man, my first date was at Skate World, which is kind of funny because my current boyfriend works at Skate World. It's kind of full circle like that. Yeah. We went to Skate World and I remember I was I dressed like Freddy Cougar and I thought I looked really cool because I had a slick back ponytail. I was in 6th grade and it was so funny because we got there and he went up to the DJ booth and he was like, hey, I have a song that I want you guys to play. And it was Let Her Go by Passenger. And I remember that we skated around the skating rink and we listened to that. And looking back on it, it was the most cringe thing I've ever done in my entire life. But, at the time, I think it lives up with the movie theater thing.
Yeah, did you feel like a main character in that moment?
Oh, absolutely. I was wearing, the Freddy Krueger shirt and I had my hair slicked back and we were skating around and holding hands together. My 6th grade self, who was 12 or 13 at the time, heart was fluttering, butterflies in my stomach. Also, I fell during that thing, right? I did fall.
He was wobbling.
Did he catch you?
No, he did not catch me. I had to pick myself up off the floor. So that's how that first date went.
No, honestly, any advice I'd probably give them is just to take a deep breath and just remember that at the end of the day, you guys are both probably nervous. Mm-hmm. You probably don't know what's going on. Realistically, you're not going to know each other that well. So just trying to take a step back, have fun, and just enjoy the moment and just don't make yourself psyched out about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just
it's gonna be okay. Just remember, at the end of the day, everything is gonna turn out well. Everything's gonna be fine.
I think the best advice for a first date that I can think of is be comfortable. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else because honestly,
they'll be able to see through that.
Yeah, they'll be able to see through that, and you're putting up a front to somebody that you want to get personal with. You know what I'm saying? Why would you want to do that to somebody that is gonna get to know you eventually anyway? Mm-hmm. So I think it's all about just having confidence and being comfortable with one another. Deciding to do that. I think that's the best.
At the end of the day, if it's a bad first date,
It's okay.
It's a
Life
first
will go
date,
on.
dude.
Yeah.
And another thing is to just have fun. Like first dates are supposed to be awkward. They're supposed to be like
Oh, absolutely.
nerve-wracking. Just try to have fun with
What's
that
your
person.
guys' ideal first date? Like, where would you want to go?
Ooh. With my current boyfriend, we went to like Mamma Mia's on our first date. That was the best. Like, I think that you should go somewhere inexpensive, but
Yeah.
that's like kind of nice. It has character, you know?
Yeah.
What about you guys?
We went downtown and we went
Oh.
ice skating.
Oh my
And that
God.
was really fun. And then we went to Saltgrass after, which is
Dude.
really fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my ideal first date. I'm stealing that. Let's screw the low key.
No, so my first date with my current boyfriend, we actually like went to this kind of like pier type thing, and we were like looking at the water, and it was really
Ooh.
fun. And we spent there like all day. We were just hanging out, and then it got like dark, and like my parents were there, but they weren't like really like with us. Like we had just like
Okay.
kind of separated. And so we were like laying down on these like rocks and like looking at the stars.
That's
and
so romantic.
I remember like me like pointing out the constellations to him, and he like looked over to me, and it was like, oh, all right,
It's like, it's the Virgo in her, guys. She's a Virgo, so obviously she had to point out the constellations in the sky.
obviously, you know, like,
No,
1000%.
That's kind of
Actually,
cute. I like
crystal
that.
That is really cute.
That's really cute. No, so I think that's I like that. I think that we all gave solid advice for first dates. I think that as a guy or a girl, have confidence. Like,
Yeah.
try to go after one another. You're there. You both said yes. You know, there's that.
with your current boyfriend, you actually went after him, right?
I did. Guys don't like to ask for my phone number, so I every relationship that I've ever been in, I had to pursue it. But you know what? I just think I'm too intimidating. I think that's what it is.
1000%. Your aura is
it's
too
just.
much.
I mean, that's what my boyfriend says. He was just like, I was so intimidated and in love already that I couldn't approach you. So that's what happened. Anyway, I think that this is a good segue
Into
for
our
kind of a
next
less
question.
less good topic. One user asked on our Tell On Me, which, by the way, Tell On Me is like an anonymous app that you can give, and we were just like, hey, do you guys have anything that you want to give us advice, like that you want us to, give you advice over? And they were like, how can I leave my ex in the past? How do I do that?
Block him. Burn his stuff.
Girl-
Never see
girl-
him again.
Oh,
Quick thing about Esther, if you ask her anything about like leaving a boy in the past, immediately she's gonna tell you burn his stuff. Like,
Burn
I'm
his
serious.
stuff.
She's gonna tell you to take his
Cleanse
hoodie and like
yourself up.
rip it up.
1000%.
she's got some past trauma she got to work through.
Cleanse yourself of them.
No, so one of my like most kind of serious relationships were like 2 or so years ago, and it took me a little while to like be able to like leave him behind. I think especially because it was like my first like real thing, like first guy I was
Yeah.
ever like truly in love with.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it just took me like having to realize that, hey, maybe I am better without him.
For sure.
And a lot of it was just like kind of like self-growth to realize that I didn't need him to make myself feel whole.
No, yeah, for sure. I think that the biggest advice that I can give you for leaving an ex in the past is to accept that what happened and you guys were in love. And I'm a full, like, wholehearted believer in the fact that if you love somebody, you're going to love them forever.
I agree.
But that love evolves and changes and turns. And when I say that you're going to love them forever, you're going to love the version of that person that you got to know, that you got to love. But sometimes people change. Sometimes you turn into a different person. Sometimes they turn into a different person. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's just about accepting the fact that you two are different people.
Yeah, like leaving an ex in the past, like a lot of that comes from like internal. Like you have to like learn to like be now like in love with yourself
Absolutely.
and like self-growth and all of that stuff. And you have to like accept that it didn't work out. And like sometimes a lot of people like they want to look for closure and stuff and like want to turn back. But like you just have to remember to keep like going forward and just keep living like every day.
Yeah, and
Like-
that's for men and women. You
Yeah,
know, like I
that's for
see,
everyone.
I see a bunch of like boys. It doesn't really, like, in my opinion, it doesn't hit them until later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%.
And so I think it's all about them accepting the fact that like they have to get over this and they have
Yeah.
to like accept that they're a different person now.
Yeah.
But girls, it like hits you right when like right,
Right when
after
it
the
happens.
breakup.
Yeah.
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 No, so like I have like a couple friends even now that are going through like sort of like a weird breakup kind of phase. And one of my most recent ones, like she was just talking about how she was just trying to like figure out like what went wrong. And I was just trying to like explain to her that like you're never gonna genuinely know what went wrong because you're never gonna be able to read his mind. You're never gonna like be able to figure it out completely. And it sucks because I know that like deep down I feel like or she thinks that she's never gonna be able to heal really if she doesn't like figure it out, which like really sucks because it's like you don't have to figure it out because it's like it's never like solely your fault or their fault. It's always just like a mutual thing.
Well, and I hate whenever like you go to ask other people for advice, like especially older people that you're like you love and you rely on or whatever, like your mom or you know a teacher, not a teacher in this case, but like anybody else, and you're like, hey, like I'm going through this and I'm really feeling it, and they're like, oh, well, you're so young, like it doesn't really matter.
And I'm like, bro, it matters to me right now.
I'm like, bro, it matters.
One of my friend's mom, like one of my best friend's mom, she once told me that like, oh, like whenever you're like young, like when you're a teenager and you're going through all these like things and you think it's the end of the world, it's because you haven't experienced this before, like your first breakup, like your first love. So you don't have the tools to deal with this. So you don't know how to deal with it. So that's why it feels like the end of the world.
And that's why it's so important. You have to live through these things.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and like just look at, like I like to look at like certain things like these like as learning experiences, like so for the future, because like, yeah, like that person, like that ex you're leaving in the past is like, now it's just like a chapter in your story.
Because I mean I've only had one breakup, but like that was really hard for me. It was a really hard it was a really hard thing to go through, but I got to a point pretty quickly after, whenever I accepted the fact that like sometimes things just don't work out, and just because it didn't work out then doesn't mean it wasn't real. It doesn't mean it didn't matter. It just means that
it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you.
No, there's nothing wrong with you if something doesn't work out. I think that a lot of times, like you read up on like exes and like teenagers and stuff like that, and like we said, the whole thing with like adults viewing it as not important is wrong, in my opinion. I think that it's important to you, and that's all that matters. So I think that you need to just love yourself and heal, and then get right back at it. You know?
Yeah.
I think that we need to move on to our sponsorship, which is kind of like an awkward segue, but I think it's time. I think we got to move on. So here we go. This episode and every episode is sponsored by Deer Park's journalism program. The class is split into two sections, one being news and media, where we collaborate to make podcasts, magazines, and dabble in a bit of graphic design. While the other class is yearbook, which designs the yearbook, and photograph school events. Talk to your school's counselor or Mr. Wyman himself in room 2342. It's above the pool, if you guys are wondering. About being in our programs. I'd love to see you here. Honestly, I love being in journalism. I love having the opportunity to make a magazine. I love having the opportunity to make a podcast, and I think that all of you would benefit from stopping by and talking to us and seeing what you're interested in.
It's definitely like an amazing class with amazing people and a great teacher, and you'll really learn a lot with like a lot of skills that you can take with you forever.
You get a lot of freedom in this class, like freedom to grow, freedom to create,
freedom to be like creative, like imaginative.
Yeah, or create a 3-panel podcast and sit here with your best friends and talk about things.
Hey.
Okay, so with that being said,
actually we're gonna get back into the deeper topic a little bit, kind of what we centered our whole podcast around this episode. So one user asked, I feel insecure in my friend group because my other friends have known each other for longer and sometimes leave me out on personal things. Any advice?
Ooh. I think it's similar to the other topics that we were talking about. Everybody goes on a first date. Everybody has an ex, you know.
Everyone gets left by their friends.
Yeah, well, like everybody feels left out at some point in their life, you know. That's really it. I mean, I think that all of us here can like elaborate a little bit more.
I mean, even so, because like, so me and Shaylee, like we've been friends since like 4th grade.
And OG.
And obviously it's not surprising to be like, we kind of drifted apart and then found our way back to each other. I moved to North Carolina in 7th grade. And so it was like kind of hard for us to kind of like keep that contact because we were like 13, 14 years old. And so a lot of the times, like I would remember just trying to like kind of like just talk to her and like fill her in my life, and like she'd just be like busy, or like we had like a time difference, stuff like that. And so I do remember like kind of feeling like a little bit left out in the sense that like I didn't know what was going on in her life. Yeah. And it was really weird because like that was like my best friend.
Well, it's that, and then whenever she came back, it was like I think it's similar to what you're experiencing. You have a whole new friend group. If you have a lot of friends that are like you're trying to move into being friends with someone. And whenever she came back, I was friends with a bunch of different people that she wasn't, and it was this like feeling of her being left out because I had like not moved on but like made other people, you know. But also it's about growing into the fact that you're going to have different friends and your best friends are going to have different friends, and you have to accept that. And that's okay. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they don't love you. And it doesn't mean they don't like hanging out with you. But sometimes that's just life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think that a lot of times, friend groups don't try to purposefully leave you out. I think like sometimes it's just like accidentally happens and they're not realizing that they're making you feel this way.
Yeah. And if they are, like, the best course of action is to talk to them and be like, hey, you guys, like, I feel like I'm really being left out, like, whenever you guys do whatever it is they're doing to make you feel left out. And if they really love you and if they're really your friends, they'll take that into consideration and they'll, like, try to, like, make you feel more included.
Absolutely. I think a part of being in a friend group is the fact that you have support. Like, that's the whole point of being in a friend group is them supporting you. And a lot of the time, like, it's just, they have to get to know you a little bit more before they start talking to you about their personal lives. Because, I mean, with me, I feel like I would say I'm very hard to open up to people, but it takes a little bit of time and then I'll get there. But, I mean, you just got to give them time, you know. A lot of people function differently. I think it's just about accepting that you're a different person and that they're different people. And it's just going to take a second for them to come around. But if they're really your friends, they will come around. And if you express the fact that you're feeling left out to them, they should do something about that or let you know why. I think that's the mark of a good friend.
Yeah, and if they've been friends for a lot longer than you've been friends with them, it might take a second to build that same trust that they already have, like, pre-established before.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we actually posted this question on our Instagrams to kind of get some kind of pure advice going to kind of
absolutely.
Like gauge almost like an understanding amongst like our viewers and their listeners and stuff like that. So one of our viewers said, cry, but then try and make more one-on-one connections with a few people in the friend group. Like, go eat to build a good foundation for better overall friend group, and eventually you could address the feeling of being purposely left out.
Ooh, that was good.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that was pretty solid advice. I like how they had said to kind of like go do something as a group or kind of like find some friends within the group to get really close to. So maybe you can like build that foundation with the group as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just about building a connection and staying connected to people so that you don't feel, or they don't feel that you're, you know, a distance from them.
Yeah.
But it's also their job. It needs to be 50-50 because you have to be putting in effort. And if you express the fact that you think that you're putting in too much effort or you're putting in more effort than they are and they don't do anything to fix it, then maybe it's time to just, you know, try to find a different friend group.
One user actually said, just try to insert yourself. If they're your friends, they're happy to have you. Absolutely. And I think that's pretty fair to say. Like, if they enjoy your company, they're going to be happy to have you around. That also, I feel like, goes hand in hand with them, like, not purposefully leaving you out. They're just trying to, like, either, like, thinking you're busy or thinking that, like, you have, like, things going on. Like, I feel like a lot of the times people just kind of assume things rather than asking.
Yes.
And if you feel like you're being left out, like, something you could do is, like, take more initiative and, like, make plans and like create the plans and say, hey, like, you guys, like, we should do this on this day.
Yeah, absolutely. Being part of a friend group means that, you know, your friend should have similar interests to you, or they should be trying to connect with you in some form or fashion. I think trying to create plans with people is a great way to get closer to them.
Yeah. Like, even recently, like, so I have some like friends in this organization that I'm in, and we like at the end of like this thing that we were doing, they ended up going to dinner, and I had asked them if they were going anywhere, and I asked them if they were going to a specific place that some other people in the same organization were going to, and they were like, no, but then they kind of like left it at that. And then I found out later that they actually went to go get dinner somewhere else. Ooh. And I feel like they didn't realize that, like, I was like, hey, you guys have plans after this? You want to go do something? And then, so
you felt left out.
Almost, yeah, a little bit. But then I had to like realize I have a good friend. Like, I have good friends, and I don't think that they like thought anything of it.
Yeah, anything.
I think
like
they just thought that I had like things afterwards, or I was going to the place that the other people were going to.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's just like a miscommunication.
Yeah,
for sure. There's also a thing of like, I get this way. It's really bad, actually. Whenever I'm alone for too long, like if I'm not with my boyfriend or if I'm not around my friends or if I'm not texting someone, like making me feel validated, I feel like they're pushing me away, when in reality they're not. Like, they're treating me the same way they always have, but I just feel that I'm being left out when I just like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like, but a lot of people can relate to it. It's just that like when you're sitting alone in your room or you're like watching TV by yourself and you're just like thinking about it, it's really easy to let yourself feel insecure or feel like people don't care about you or don't love you or don't want to be around you, but that's not the case at all. You know, there are people that want to be around you. There are people that love you. Your friends love you. They want to be around you. I think it's if you feel that way, maybe address it with them, but also think about it a little bit yourself. Be like, look, are they making me feel this way, or am I feeling this way because of X, Y, and Z? You know, I think it's about
like
personally addressing it, but also understanding where they're coming from.
Like sometimes I get like, even my best friend like really knows this. Like I get like this insecurity that like, oh, like I'm not her best friend. Like in every one of my relationships, I'm like everyone's like second choice, third choice, like that type of thing. And it makes me really insecure. And like sometimes I'll like think like that. I'll get really in my own head and I'll like cry and stuff. But then I have to like really take a step back and I have to think like, is this really happening, or is this really my own insecurity? And it's something I've like really been trying to work on and stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God. Feeling like a second choice. Yes. I've always like, at some point in my life, or any friend group that I'm in or any friendship that I'm in, I always feel like a second choice. But I have to register that like I feel that way in many situations. And I mean, I've had a lot of
necessarily because you are like a second choice.
No,
it's just because it's like your brain is convincing you to like think that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's also like sometimes people can find themselves in like past situations where they were a second choice. You know what I mean? And then you're like every friendship or every relationship after that, you have to like realize that you're not their second choice. That just happened one time. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
No, I have this like bad habit of needing to be surrounded by people consistently.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
I
So like
get
make yourself
really
feel validated.
It's so bad. Yeah, me too. All right. Well, I think that the moral of the story here is that everybody goes through this. Everybody has this feeling at one point or another, whether it be true, whether it be insecurity. We all understand that. There are people around you every day that sympathize with that, but there are people out here that love you. I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
I don't know who you are, but I
No,
love you anyway.
I love you. Like, come on. If you're watching this podcast, I love you. Yeah.
Love, rate the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're going to move into our final question. And I think this is
Probably
actually
the most important topic.
Actually, honestly, the most important topic on this entire podcast. I know that we said the last one was what it was centered on, but I lied.
This is the real deal.
Okay, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Pete or Kanye?
Pete Davidson or Kanye West?
Here's the thing. In my gut, I want to say Pete.
Oh,
you know
but
what I mean?
Team Kanye, 1000%.
Okay, but here's the thing. I am a diehard Swiftie.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Kanye did her dirty.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Never
a
living that down.
Ye fan. I'm a Ye fan.
Oh.
He's an icon. He's a legend.
I
Like,
know something about that.
Do you feel misogynistic after you listen to it?
a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. A little bit.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I disagree with you both. I'm Pete Davidson all the way. Skinny tall white boys for the win here.
Okay, but Kanye bought the house next to Kim Kardashian.
And the song he
can't
made
top
about beating
that.
Pete Davidson up.
Yeah. Yeah, like Pete's not doing that. What is he saying? A few jokes? Okay, whatever.
Okay, but you know that social media post, like he posted this TikTok basically where his daughter's on, by the way, North. Yeah, Kanye, if you listen to this, I'm onto you. He posed with like his new girlfriend or whatever, how he did with the iconic picture of him and Kim. Y'all seen that?
Yes, I did.
That boy
Actually,
is just messy.
I live for it. I live for it. He's so funny. Like Pete is not out here doing it like that.
Pete is so funny.
Pete is funny. Like
But like
he's
not
some,
Kanye.
He's got like dead eyes, but it's kind of good.
Okay, but he's not. Here's the thing. He's not Kanye West, and he'll never be Kanye.
right, but like
West.
Pete Davidson is like ugly hot. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Yes.
Kanye is just ugly. Period.
I don't think he's
His
ugly.
personality, Esther. His personality makes him so ugly.
I think he's hilarious. I
Isn't
think
he?
everything
Oh my God.
he does is absolutely hilarious.
He's like a low-key narcissist.
Low key.
Or
Low
high
key.
He's definitely a
high-key
high-key narcissist.
He had that, what was it, that one concert where he literally was just like, he didn't really have the album finished for Donda, and he just stood around the stadium with a bunch of people around him. Him and Kim were divorced, and she showed up. She wore that whole black suit or whatever. You remember that, where her face was covered?
Oh yeah.
They were divorced, and she pulled through, okay?
Yeah.
It's time for her to have happiness with Pete Davidson.
Okay, but
Kanye
and
has gone
Kim
through
are a
so many
power
mental
couple.
breaks.
Wait.
They're
wait,
a power couple.
Are Kim and Pete Davidson a thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
They're official.
They are official.
Weird.
That's weird. I don't think they work together. I don't think they fit together. I don't think they make
in
sense.
my
I think.
head,
Wait,
Kim
do you guys think it's
Kardashian-
publicity? Do you think it's publicity?
I think
okay.
so.
Okay, here's my theory. You know how it's like Kourtney Kardashian and like Travis Barker.
Yeah.
Oh, Travis Barker.
Yeah, like I
From
think
Blink
they're,
182.
Like, yeah, I think they're like supposed to be like a rip off of that. I think
They're a
supposed to be
power
rip-off.
couple. You know,
They
Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian are what Megan Fox and what is it?
Machine
Gun
Kelly.
Kelly try to be.
Have
So
Speaking of which, can't believe they're engaged.
Dude,
Oh my!
did you see
God.
how the engagement ring will rip her finger if she tries to take it off? It's a spike in it.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a
That's
spike in it.
kinda
So if she
funny.
tries to take the ring off, the spike will hurt her as she tries to take it off.
No.
Imagine you gotta like wash your hands or do the dishes or something. Oh, I'm acting like Megan Fox does the dishes. No, I'm just saying that like what the heck?
Oh my god.
I mean, to each their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also like calls him her Stormfly or something. I don't
Yeah.
even know. Whatever.
No, back to Kanye and Pete. I think I'm Team Pete, Esther.
I'm Team Pete.
Y'all are wrong. I'm Team Kanye all the way.
All right. I think that we have to do agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah.
And we'll circle
Heavily
back to
disagree.
it. After this podcast, we're circling back to it.
Definitely.
So this was our first episode of the Dear Abby podcast.
Yeah.
I'm
Hope
really
you guys
excited.
enjoyed.
Yeah. I want to say again, if you guys are looking forward to doing a podcast or you're trying to make a podcast, or we
Even
also
just trying
create
to learn about
magazines. Yeah, if you're just trying to learn about it.
Yeah, like
Come
the
by
mechanics
journalism.
behind it.
Come by room 2342.
Yeah.
If you're really trying to get into the class, I would say come here. Talk to Mr. Wyman. He will give you some solid advice. He's a cool dude.
If you guys have any questions that you want us to answer in a future podcast, our Instagrams are going to be linked on the Deer Park yearbook page.
Yep. We're also we run through the Deer Network. So if you guys want to check out any of our work, we're also going to be putting out a magazine later this year
Yeah. Yep.
that we're all really looking forward to. We all wrote stories. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be funny.
Artistic.
It's going to be
Yeah.
artistic.
Creative.
I would really encourage you whenever you see those printed out and around the school to pick one up, support our class, support what we do. If you want to hear more of this podcast, I would very highly encourage you to go pick some up and just, show us your love.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram, and I think that's it. I think we'll see you guys next time.
All right,
Bye, guys.